right, welcome to the first edition of the PrimeTime Podcast. And as you can see by the Captain America chair, the American flag hanging up, you guys all know who the first guest is on the PrimeTime Podcast. I'll bring him in with everybody's favorite theme song. Everybody's favorite theme song, the Warrior song. Ladies and gentlemen, Sgt Cash. There he is.
Dan Ram.
Perfect. There we go. Happy to see you, brother. Let me just...
Long time.
I don't know if I just let us play the whole. Let's put on repeat. Let it play the whole... You should just upload this song to you to 10 hours of Sgt Cash's theme. Let me turn this off. All right. I guess, like I said earlier, this is Robbie and I actually drove all the way up to Dynasty Wrestling blasting your theme song. It's one of the all-time favorites. So welcome to the show, man. I'm so happy
Thanks for having me.
So it's life's been crazy, huh?
Just a bit, you know, pandemics, dissolutions, wrestling.
I think the last time I saw you had to be my birthday on probably 2019, because 2020 we wouldn't have gone anywhere, right? We went to the Redstone Tavern in Bridgewater. That was probably the last time I saw you that night.
Yeah, it's been a long time though. The world's been a crazy place for the past year.
It's been a little nuts, man. I mean, it's nice though. As much as I'm not a big Facebook guy, it's nice you stay in contact. You know, a lot of the other guys can. You know, it's always good to stay connected with you guys. But the reason, obviously, listen, BBWF, PrimeTime Wrestling, whatever you want to call it, you know, everybody knows the history. We did this from 2005, 2004, somewhere in there, starting out with Kevin Knight at IWF. We used to run shows there. Then we switched to Geno's, and we stopped in 2008. But 2016 was, you know, my 40th is when we brought it back. And I remember you were in the crowd. You were now at that point in time, you were what?
If I remember correctly, I was already into my first or second year wrestling at that point.
Okay.
We were in the crowd and we heard news of a show, you know, BBWF one night only.
It was the lettering, right? It's the BBWF that drew you in. Like,
yeah. And it was like one night only. I was like, all right, you know, local wrestling show. Let's check this out.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And it was, you know, it was a great show. It was a lot of interaction. You know, we were jaw jacking with you know, the wrestlers, and they were giving as good as they were getting. So I was like, you know what? This is an organization that I can get behind.
Yeah, it was a fun time, and I think after that, I know we talked briefly at the end of the night about doing stuff, and then I think it was the following week. Following week or maybe a couple weeks after, I went to IWF to see a show, and I think that night you were tagging with Vargas, maybe, or no, maybe Reedy. You were in a tag match with somebody.
I think you might have seen the intergender tag team match of me and Aaron Winter versus Ken Reedy and the All-Star Michelle D.
I did see that one. I remember, you know, there was a tag match. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Vargas and somebody else. Maybe it was Vargas and Izzy, whoever it was. But they were in a tag match with two kids who really only knew to work the arm, tag out, and then I felt bad that night because one kid tried to go to the second turnbuckle on the inside, do an axe handle, and it didn't look right. But he was trying to be creative because he just, what are you doing? You're just working the arm, you know. It was comical. But yeah, when you guys stood out as characters and stuff, it was funny because I saw the American Bulldog, Ken Reedy, and then I started talking to Ken. I never put, I guess I thought the look of the character didn't match the personality that Ken really has, because Ken's a one-of-a-kind dude, man. Like,
I can agree with that.
I mean, he is such a good talker. I mean, like, he's great on the stick. He's great with the acting. He's got a good mind with it. You know, I think he found a home with what we were doing. So we'll touch on Ken a little bit, because obviously he's a pivotal point of your run with the BBWF. So we bring you in, we tell you about PrimeTime. You know, it was funny because I think a lot of the wrestlers at the time were trained and conditioned to believe and act and work a certain way. And at PrimeTime, we did things completely different. Like it was kind of like we opened. I would like to like we. I think we were more of a laid back, fun, but yet we tried to be a controlled atmosphere. But we were. I think we allowed the creativity to flow a lot more. And I know in the beginning of the sessions and stuff, like we used to have like Robbie would do a seminar briefly, stuff like that when we were at Geno's. Um, and then I think a couple Nunzio did one there too. I think when,
True.
when we used him for prime time, and it was something that I really loved the characters. Like to me, like when I was growing up, I dug your character like mainly because when I was growing up, I loved that Sergeant Slaughter, Iron Sheik wars that those guys used to have. And right away when you came in, I'm like, all right, well, we got Sgt Cash, and I'm like, I got Prince Akhenaten right over here, and I'm like, this is something we could work with. And but yeah, it wasn't your debut match. Your debut match, I'm trying to think against, was it? I thought it was against Izzy. I thought. I know you had a. I know you were Dionette's first opponent. I know
Yeah,
that.
I was DNet's first opponent, and you know, again, when I started BBWF, you know, I was in really my like first, second year, you know, training / wrestling. I had wrestled in front of crowds for a bit, but you know, I was still, you know, still very green, well, wet behind the ears. But DNet was definitely a, you know, a new opponent, and I was happy to face him simply because, you know, at that point I was willing to learn from whoever was in the ring with me, and you know, facing him, facing Prince, I've learned a lot from. You know, a lot of guys, including Reedy. You know, Reedy and I have had some wars in the ring, and it seems that even though we both came into the biz at the same time, we learn from each other each time we go.
That's one thing that started out as a real basic conversation. Because when we would go, we were also doing the Dynasty shows at the time, and with Chris Envy, and when I would go up there, didn't you come up once with us to a Dynasty show?
I did not have a chance to go up to a Dynasty.
Okay, I thought you did. Maybe might have been. I think it was might have been Donovan, but I know he went up once. But when we that's a long drive. I mean, it's like a 4 hour drive up there. And I used to say, you know, I don't know why we're doing this because I wasn't really on the show. I would go up and like help, and this once in a while I was on the show, but Robbie would, you know, let's go. So we would book the shows, like we would make the plans and write down the storylines of what we wanted to do while we were on our way. And you know, when it came down to like, cause for a while you and Reedy would be more so tag partners.
Yeah.
And then it was like, you know, and Reedy worked, you could tell the way there was a comfort level, like if you found it with certain people. And I think the way we were looking at it, like, see, for me, I don't know everything. I don't know I can't tell you everything from start to finish. You know, there's some things you're better at and some things that you're not really that good at. But what I really enjoyed doing was getting creative and coming up with stories and stuff like that to put people together and make sure I'm still recording here. Okay, good. I wanted to put all that together, and I thought for a second, well, what if Reedy turned on Cash? And we were like, okay, you know, like let's see where this goes here. Let's see how far. And when he did it, I mean, we were like, oh, this is pretty, because he just clocked the hell out of you.
Oh, he did.
I was shocked. I was impressed. I was like, wow, he really. And then the anger on his face, and I think Zim was the guy who was at the show that day. He was like, I want to manage him. I want to like make it look like he's like next running for president type thing. And then it kind of went to like the Ready for Reedy campaign and everything else. And then when he came out with the robe and all that, it was crazy. So, but when he took it, when you guys went at it, the street fight to this day that you guys had at ECPW at PrimeTime was one of my favorite matches. I think that was when we did the top matches of that was definitely in there. You guys beat the living hell out of each other.
Oh yeah, it's still, honestly, it's probably the, you know, I was gonna say one of, but you know, when I think about it, it's probably the most favorite match I've ever had. Because
really,
yeah, you know, we beat the hell out of each other. No lie. You know, the day after, I was like, ow, I felt it, but I thought we both left it all out there, and I thought, you know, everybody saw that.
Now, with Ken though, would you say Ken is your favorite opponent so far?
Yeah, that favorite opponent is hard to say because there are many facets. Like with Ken, again, we've had wars in the ring and we've pounded each other, and it obviously makes for great entertainment because some people to this day will still ask me about that match or talk about that match and like we did it, you know. But other matches that I had in BBWF, again, citing Prince. Prince was a good match. I actually did have a match with Donovan, and Donovan, he's a hard hitter, and he teaches you things. And there's been a litany, there's been a laundry list of things that I've done in BBWF that I really enjoyed. Wrestling him, I've wrestled Donovan both in BBWF and I've wrestled him in IWF.
Mm-hmm.
And even in IWF, I did even wrestle Kevin Knight once, which was an interesting experience.
Really? You liked wrestling him, or just?
I did. I did. Again, Kevin. There's some folks who don't get Kevin's teaching style sometimes, or sometimes he can be, if you don't sit there and think about it, he can be a little bit hard to read.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, in the ring, it was smooth as silk, and I knew what we were doing, and we know where to go, and we put on a pretty entertaining match.
It's something a lot. I mean, with Kevin, you're right. A lot of people would say, for lack of a better term, he's an acquired taste. However,
yeah,
one thing you could always, I'll give Kevin all the credit in the world. He did what he wanted to do, and he did it his way. He didn't, and he still does it his way. He never changed what he was doing because somebody bitched or didn't like it. Kevin was Kevin, and he honestly, like, I think there were a lot of times when people, like the students, they thought like, okay, maybe it's lax and you could take advantage and this and that. But I'll never forget, there was one night where Justin, Dominion, and I were going to Kevin's to work out, and Kevin gave us the heads up that it was, if we're going to stay, it was going to be discipline night, because the day before they had a show and the locker room was trashed. Like, there's water bottles all over the floor. And Kevin, I don't know if you've ever been to the Woodland Park facility, the one that was right in West Patterson.
No.
But it was a really cool spot. He had a workout area. He had I did a show there a couple times, and I used to love it. He had the curtain, the entrance, but the locker room was more like his office area. And okay. I know it wasn't in like two little rooms and stuff. And there was like water bottles and garbage on the floor. And he told everybody that, until someone fesses up, you're going to do push-ups, squats, and sit-ups in sets. And we did them because we were there working out and stuff. But it was amazing how nobody fessed up. Nobody. It cracked me up because it's like everybody, everybody talks so tough at times. But yeah, here, look, own up. And Kevin said, all I need is for someone to just say it was me. I'm sorry, and apologize and clean it up. And that's it. They went the whole night without getting in the ring once because they didn't pay attention. They didn't pay attention to like how to respect the building. You know what I mean? Like, Kevin's an old school guy, and I don't blame him. Like, that's his.
I can appreciate that. I can definitely appreciate that. I can't say I would have taken a different approach.
Right. Like, nobody wants to be disciplined. They want to be able to do whatever they want, but no one wants to catch, consequences, basically. And look, it happens. If you make mistakes, I've made some, everyone's made some, but at the end of the day, you just apologize, make right, and walk away. Like, you just got to do what you got to do. It sucks, but you learn lessons. And I think Kevin always stuck to his guns with that. And so let me ask you a question as far as PrimeTime is concerned. So as far as how it was run, I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What did you like, and what did you not like as far? Because obviously there's a lot.
Well, yeah, no, it was great. There was a lot to like. The creativity, the points of creativity was a lot to like. The locker room was a lot to like, because like I had my singles run, and then I had my tag run with Juan Vargas.
Nice money.
And we had those matches were great, and learning from Robbie was great when going up against him and Tinder Tom, who well, what's Tinder Tom doing these days?
We got to find him. I will find him.
But the great thing about BBWF was it was very creative, and it let you. We were free to let those creative juices kind of flow and see where it went. Yeah. And I would dare to say that obviously when you have a formula like that, you have an equal chance for hits and misses. Maybe I could be a little bit biased, but I'd like to think that we had a couple more hits, more hits than misses. Yeah. That being said, the downside of that is, after everything was said and done, after all that blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak, yeah. And especially as an independent wrestler, you kind of rely on the footage that you had, footage of previous matches. Yeah,
there's a big elephant over
there. Big elephant. And then due to the actions of some folks, like now, essentially, the good chunk of your library is kind of erased.
Yeah, that's I gotta say that's the hard part about all this. I mean, I figured that if we're gonna do it in the beginning, okay, we're gonna go all out. And when we were running a weekly show, it was like you're nuts. Like, and I mean, the weekly show was a lot. I mean, because you were in the city. Yeah. I would drive to the city, then drive all the way back home, then drive all the way back up again. And it was a lot of work. And by the time we got there, by the time we set up, we taped from 6 to 8:30. And then it's hard because you do have a great time with the people that you're at. So then you're like, okay, no, let's go out. Let's go get some, we're going to get pizza. And then next it's like you get home, it's 11 o'clock and you're like, damn, you're burnt out. And that's just from a weekly show that you're making no money off of and nobody's there. But I think honestly, PrimeTime, I mean, hey, look, we would have been prepared. We were doing the empty arena stuff before it became cool. Now look, I said, yeah, you guys are complaining. You can't work in front of 12 fans. Come on, we'll go in there and we'll do that. No problem. So, but the big shows, it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. And, I'm never going to disclose guys' rates and stuff, but the logic is from a promoter, and it's very, very hard, is that you got, let's face it, you're selling tickets for $10, you throw $500 to a big name to get there, you know what I mean? And sponsors were hard to get in that area we were running in South Plainfield and stuff. And Livingston, you couldn't get sponsors for anything because it's a very cheap environment up there. Everyone's got the money, but it's all, no one has the money. So the sponsors were hard to get. And, you're
talking, they pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Right. And if you got a tag match, going on in which the entire tag match costs you $300, okay. And with all due respect, fully talented, wrestlers, really talented wrestlers, but either it was because of where they were driving from, because it wasn't really their territory, or, I don't know, whatever it is, they weren't bringing in $300 worth of tickets for whatever the reasons were. So that's hard. I remember the first couple of shows, it was like you, Michelle, and Ken packed the places the first couple of times we did the shows. Like a lot of people that you guys knew from IWF, you guys recruited a lot of people, and so it was definitely a big gamble. And I mean, let's face it, the Rumble event we did, that had 60 guys. Yeah. That was 60, because I always wanted to do, if I was going to do a Rumble event, I wanted to do the Rumble where the 30 guys that were in the Rumble were not on the card elsewhere. And the guys who were on the card previously were not in the Rumble. And but the Rumble was fun. That was.
That was.
I mean, and I didn't know, because when you want to look at the angles of the people who were going into the ring at the same time, you were in a feud were you in the feud with Reedy yet?
Yes, I was.
So you're in the feud with Reedy. I'm in the feud with Juan. And I wanted to pitch that around, but then I realized that the last set of guys in the ring were like me, you, Ken, Juan, Prince, Donovan, Nunzio. That was a pretty good. I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. This setup here, it worked really, really well. But you're right, the expenses, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then finally, and mind you, behind the scenes, you got 4 people. That's who it was. It was 4 people that tried to, run things, and then you had one that, it was kind of like the kid where you got 2 parents, and If you run to dad, dad says no, you run to mom, or you run to mom and say dad said blah 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 blah, and then you start the drama kind of thing, and then what people didn't realize is what a lot of people didn't see. And my thing is I never want anybody to have bad time. So it's like, I don't want people to see the bad that goes on, but there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that really, really prevented us from going farther than what we did. A lot. It was
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah, I think you can. There's always going to be some behind the scenes shenanigans, if you will.
The drama.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But to your credit, you kept a lot of folks shielded from that.
yeah.
I've heard of different spots that had a lot more going on than we did.
Yeah, no, me too. I did hear, and it's like I just kind of keep my mouth shut. But no, I know, because I would vent to you like crazy with this stuff. I mean, it was like, oh, I'm gonna like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm calling you like, hey, get this. Like, there was just so much. It was crazy. But of all the matches you had, like you said, I know Reedy was one of your top. Okay, so was there anybody? Okay? Give me some guys in primetime that, other than Reedy, that you enjoyed working with, or that you didn't like, not didn't, but like you thought you could have a better match with, or maybe the story didn't go as well as it probably could have.
Well, let's see. I'll say right off the bat, Prince. I love working with Prince, and honestly, when I worked with him in BBWF, it was on me. I was a little bit green at the time. Later down the road, Prince and I had some great matches. So, I kind of, knowing, if I knew then what I know now, I would have loved to have a better run against him, or some sort of program.
Okay.
Like I said, Donovan, always a hard hitter, and I always learn from him. Some of my favorite matches, though, aside from me and Reedy, again, the tag run, the tag run against Robbie. That was maybe
That was my favorite
gel better than I thought we would.
Yeah, I think that period of time, that was the new. I think that wasn't that was a new era.
Yeah,
that was post drama, and we had stripped it down to the basics. And I remember Ken shifted him to being GM, and he nailed it. I mean,
oh yeah.
So then we were like, okay, Ken and I were doing commentary, and he's one of my favorite people to do commentary with. Like, he's good. It was like kind of like the Monsoon Heenan to Ventura. Like he does it. He has that. And we were calling the tag matches, and it was you and Vargas versus Robbie and Tom, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Those were really good tag matches, and you and Vargas clicked. You got like, we were always, and because it was a tournament, and during the tournament we were putting you guys as like the Cinderella story type thing, like I like that. Let's see if they can get along kind of thing. And you and Vargas always, I thought, gelled very well, because you teamed up before. You guys have done some tag matches before, but not like a consistent, we're going for the tag titles type run.
Yeah, because I remember that tournament, and I remember the first match of that tournament. It was definitely one of those, let's put two singles guys together, go. And when we won, it was against Izzy and Dirtbag Dan.
Yes, that's right.
It was a great match, and we came up with a finisher on the fly, and that's when I introduced my new finish. Coming from the top rope, I had been practicing that top rope headbutt.
Yep.
And that it was one of my favorite times, because whereas before I've learned as a singles wrestler, later on I thought I got to grow as a tag wrestler, and I really started enjoying it.
Well, yeah, and then you getting in there with Robbie, that's definitely the best way to learn too. I mean, he.
Oh yeah. Robbie has been more than gracious with his knowledge, and hell, I do have two in a W column against him. I just got to point.
You do, actually. I watched that the other day. Now that one is still on YouTube, actually. If you look up PrimeTime Wrestling NJ and you search through a little bit, that era still has some of the footage on there.
Yeah. But actually, I also tagged with Robbie later.
Right. We did that when we were at we did the one. Did we do something with Gino where we were we were like an opening match on his show? Was that you, Robbie?
We had two or three on his card, and it was a tag match. It was As a matter of fact, it was Robbie and I versus Dan and Vargas. I think that's before we teamed.
Yes.
I remember correctly. That was before we started teaming.
Without a doubt. Now see, okay, now give me some names of guys that you didn't work with that you would have loved to.
That I didn't work with. Either of the heavenly bodies. I would have liked to have, again, at the time that they were in, they were focused on their tag, and I was single, so I didn't get much interaction with them. I would like to have worked with them in the ring.
We've done Cash Money against the bodies. I'd have been
Oh yeah, I would have loved it. I had very short interactions with Fala, pretty much involving Fala slamming me around, and that's it.
right.
But again, I would have liked to have seen how that would have turned out as a match, because especially seeing where he's gone now and seeing how he's evolved. He had, it was obvious from the beginning he had talent, and I would have loved to have mixed it up more with him in the ring.
Yeah. It's good to see him do his thing out there. But no, but so coming full circle, with everything, where are you at now as far as your wrestling career?
Well, to be my wrestling career has been on hold for a while because I did get shoulder surgery in December. I had a torn rotator cuff, and it's been a little. It was sort of a little rough go trying to get back on track, but I'm happy to say that now, not only am I fully vaccinated, I'm starting to hit the weights,
Nice.
starting to hit the heavy bag, and the arm's still connected. So
right.
We
don't have to with the shoulder deal now.
Yeah, we'll see. I got a nice big scar on there. We'll see what happens. But I'm definitely looking to get into the ring. Maybe June, July-ish. Maybe just in time for one hell of a fourth. We'll see.
That'd be interesting.
See what the future holds.
The question that everybody obviously keeps asking too is that what with the PrimeTime Podcast coming back, like the PrimeTime Podcast, starting up and everything, bringing back a lot of the stories, a lot of the memories and stuff like that, is that everyone wants to know where it's going. Like I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I wanted to do this and reconnect with the crew and everything else. I've got somebody in my ear saying, "Go ahead, let's do it." I'm like, no, no. But I mean, but then I got pitched an idea. Well, who cares if we don't do it in front of a bunch of people? It's always been just us, and if we filmed one where, I mean, I wouldn't be physically doing it, but if we filmed one, at Gino's and got involved and did stuff like that, I mean, that I'd be up for, just like a reunion type thing, as more so we do some stuff, but at the same time you get to see everybody again, especially because like it's just been like a whole, I mean, like I said earlier, even outside of wrestling, I haven't seen you. Like we figured out it was almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And every time we've gotten together, we've had interesting evenings together every time we got together. So it's
there's always stories.
Yeah, some of them we're not going to disclose because then it touches on some other. We won't go there.
yeah. They may or may not involve authorities or
you getting yelled at.
Running in and out of bars.
All right, so let's move this way. And obviously this could lead to what happened the other day, because obviously, I was right there ready with my gasoline can. So if said one night only should happen, is Dionette Vuitton your choice? Is that who you'd like to tangle with? Because honestly, when the graphic went up, I'm like, this looks pretty good. I would see that.
Well, you know what? Again, I have wrestled Dionette before, and much to my chagrin, he did hand me an L. So the way I see it, I owe him one.
Yeah, I had to be reminded the other day too, because I was like, Dionette we had a pretty good thing going, and I was like, but mind you, so much has happened in the last 3-4 years. So I'm like, I forgot he got into that car accident.
He did.
And that's what took him out for a while. I like left field. I had to be reminded of that. I was like, oh my gosh, right. There's so many things that happened during that era. It's like you kind of piece things like Dropbox. Thank God. That's where I've got as much. I have a lot of the photos. I think I shared that with you a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got video footage. I've got stuff that I haven't posted yet. We still got some cool stuff on YouTube, but like Dropbox, I went through it and that's where I found the photos of when I had you in the crossface at WrestleMania in New Orleans. That was a good time. I mean, but it's like they always say, it's, you know, the ring stuff was always cool. We always had great shows. We always had a great time. But to me, you know, I thought a lot of it was more the memories, the friendships you make, the bonds. Like, you know, like I consider you a good friend, man. And like, you know, you and Ken, we had great times together. And like, this is all kind of coming to an end. It's like, okay, well, let's get out there and kind of do some stuff. And I think that's how the PrimeTime Podcast got started. It's like, get out there, interview some of the boys, and see where everybody stands. And
yeah, you know, even the big guys who are, you know, moved on to bigger and brighter things. You know, they know that we had something special enough that, you know, it deserves to be remembered. It deserves to be talked about.
yeah, no, it's good. And so I appreciate you doing this here, man. I appreciate you being a part of the show, man. It was a great conversation, and we'll get together soon. Definitely really soon. But thank you, man, for being a part of the show. Always a pleasure. All right, we'll see where this goes. Thank you, Sarge.
No problem.
Take care.